Welcome to the fifth episode of Move Out, Draw. Actually, it's the fourth episode. Fourth episode of Move Out, Draw Fire. I'm your host, Dustin. In this episode, we're going to be covering a public rant that I've had for quite a while, but I want to introduce my guest first. I served with him. We went to basic training together back in 2003. We got stationed at Fort Bragg together after we went through Airborne school together. We met each other, I think, during one deployment in Afghanistan. We crossed paths once or twice. He's got me through some tough times. I hope to think I got him through tough times. So I will introduce. His name is Morgan. You can say your last name if you want to. You don't have to. Morgan, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, went to high school here and had a nice life. Joined the Army right out of high school. I even signed up, I forget what the name of the program is, but it's where you sign up while you're still in high school and then you meet certain requirements and then go get shipped off to basic pretty much immediately after you graduate.
It was the delayed entry program.
Yeah, there you go. So I spent my 18th birthday in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and that's where I met Mr. Dustin. And then spent pretty much my entire Army career following him around and vice versa. We did basic OSUT at Fort Sill. Then we moved over to Fort Benning for Airborne, and we briefly went through RIP. That was fun, Ranger Indoctrination Program.
It was terrible.
After that, go ahead.
That was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. I don't recommend it to anybody.
No, not at all.
But after getting out of that, we went over to the 82nd, where we had a lot of fun jumping out of airplanes and going to war. And then, as you said, we met up when we were both in Afghanistan, although we weren't stationed at the same place or with the same unit. Our paths just briefly crossed, and I think we caught up and got a coffee or something like that together. Then I got out because I was very, very tired of the big green weenie giving me the good old thumbs up.
I like it.
So I got out and then moved back to Salt Lake City and started a nice life here. Did the 9-to-5 retail thing for a little bit and figured out that was not my jam. And then I started going to school at the University of Utah for mechanical engineering, and I graduate in December.
So I do want to back up and state for the public that is listening, can you confirm that you are not a Mormon?
Oh man, here we go. Yeah,
I'm just saying, Salt Lake City, Utah. It's home of the Mormons, the multiple wives. I think I asked you that in basic training.
You did. In fact, every single person that asked me where I was from, and I responded with Salt Lake City, Utah, the very next thing out of their mouth was, "Oh, so you're Mormon then?" Or, "Oh, how many wives do you have?" Or my most favorite is, "Where are your horns?"
I would ask where your 15-speed bicycle was that you're riding around trying to convert people.
Yep. The horns one was really interesting, though, because I'd never heard of that prior to that question. And apparently that's a thing. Like, people ask, it's like a weird myth that Mormons have horns for some reason. I haven't really researched it and figured out why, but that's an actual thing.
Not demons. Why would you have horns?
No, I don't know. It's a horns thing. I think there's even a movie about it, and I think it's starring Daniel Radcliffe, I want to say. Maybe that was actually not about Mormons. But
it wasn't about Mormons. It was something else. I watched that. It wasn't a bad movie.
Gotcha, yeah. That was pretty good. But no, I don't have multiple wives. I am not Mormon. I don't know. And in fact, we kind of don't like that stereotype. Fair. But
only we can call each other that.
Yeah. But no, there's a quite huge population of Mormons out here, and for the most part, they're pretty nice. But of course, like everybody else, they have their problems.
Oh yeah, that's understandable. Now, in basic training, when I asked you that, I do remember telling me that you were atheist at the time. Has that changed?
Absolutely.
All right.
Um, I am much more agnostic now, that I will say, confused, if you will.
I like
I
it.
don't, I don't think that there's particularly a giant man or woman in the sky that is controlling everything that we do, aside from free choice. But I do think there has to be something greater than us. I'm not going to go at length here, but I've seen and done some things in my life that would make anybody think similar, I think.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, one of the most crazy things that I've seen that I still to this day can't explain happened while I was technically still in the Army, but it wasn't the stereotypical Army thing where, you know, you see something crazy and it makes you think and believe in God. But it was right after my father died. It was just a crazy, crazy thing. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that or not, but I can if you'd like.
Well, I've also gone through the sort of pain of, let's see, it was 2014, I want to say, that my father passed away as well. I know yours passed away before
Mm-hmm.
mine did. But having just the one parent left, not being old enough to be like, all right, it makes sense that he passed away, or we weren't too young enough to be like, this is going to crush my entire world kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I can say that after that, my father passed away, and again, some of the things that I'd seen and done in the course of the 4 deployments that I had, that it's one thing to go in going, I don't believe in a higher power, but then you hear the bullets that are zipping past your head, like, I feel like some of those were meant for me, but maybe a higher power had some divine intervention and helped me out, or a guardian angel, what have you.
Yeah.
So I think we're on the same page as far as that.
Mm-hmm.
If you got anything you want to add.
No, that sounds about right, man.
So I'm going to back up here again. Do you remember the guy that kicked the rooster at RIP?
Oh my God. I totally forgot about that. That's awesome.
So
What
there
the
was a
hell was his
guy,
name?
I cannot remember his name. So when we were at RIP, there was a rooster there, kind of signifying the Snuff the Rooster by Alice in Chains. And he was kind
Uh-huh.
of the battalion mascot, or the training mascot. And one of the recruits, after Airborne come in, got drunk and kicked the rooster. Big no-no for a bunch of Rangers in the regiment was to kick their mascot and injure it. So I think it was, a week he had to stay out there with a rubber duck and
Yep.
protect the rooster from other
Yep.
assailants such as him.
That was in January in Fort Benning. January, February in Fort Benning, and that was a god awful time to be there. It was wet, cold, and muddy.
And we
Yeah.
got to see the Super Bowl too at
Yeah.
the subway, and we got
Yep.
taken off. We had to take off right before the halftime show, and that's where Janet Jackson had her wardrobe
Infamous nip
malfunction.
slip.
Yeah. So
Yep.
we were close to seeing it, but we actually didn't see it. We didn't hear
No, we
about
did
it
not.
until later. And like, what? We missed that? This is bullshit.
Yep.
So moving on. You and I have, we were roughly minus height, pretty much the same person, I think, going in. Same likes, same dislikes, stuff like that. You've
Mm-hmm.
got out, you got a wife and a child. I've got a wife and 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
Are you having any difficulties with kind of coping to the civilian life now that you've been out since, when did you get out?
May of 08.
May of 08. So I got out 7 years after you, I'm still finding
Mm-hmm.
coping difficulties. Have you had any better luck?
I don't know about luck, but yes, I have had some difficulties. The Army is world famous for spending all this time and money to break you down and build you up into their image, but they spend maybe about $24 and about 30 minutes teaching you how to reintegrate back into normal society. So I've
And
had a little
that's
bit
giving
of
it a lot of credit. The 24, I
right
think they were cutting budgets when I got out. I think mine was 10.
shit. Yeah, I had a little bit of the stereotypical popping PTSD. Fireworks bugged me for a little bit, but the weird one was I remember I was on an aircraft right after I got out, and the crew must have gotten done loading baggage into the baggage hold, and they slammed the door, and it made a pretty loud noise. And I remember jumping at that and hunting for my weapon that should have been slung around my chest, but I was fully out of the Army by then, and I think that's the only time that I was fresh out, and that's the only time where I jumped at that. But as far as other PTSD stuff, not really in the stereotypical sense. However, I have had a little bit of trouble with some anger issues, easily agitated, easily angered. I do yell quite frequently when I'm frustrated because, that's how we were taught to deal with that. And we were getting yelled at like 24/7.
Yep. I knife fan my children every now and then.
Oh yeah. Yep. That hasn't left.
You better get in your room and you better clean
Yep.
it, or I swear to God, I'm burning all your toys.
There you go. Exactly. And recently, when my son was born, he's 2 now, so this would have been back in August through December of 2018. I thought I was relatively prepared. Of course, nobody is prepared for children, but I thought I could handle it okay. Turns out, fuck no. I'm not even like remotely capable of handling a baby. And that kind of surprised me. And that was completely counterintuitive from all of my Army training and military life and everything like that. So it kind of threw me for a loop, and I think I may have experienced my first real bout with depression. I did not want to do anything, go anywhere. None of the things that I normally enjoyed were bringing me happiness or even a smile on my face, and so it was tough. And more precisely, I was also in the middle of the hardest semester or hardest year in my mechanical engineering degree, so that was also putting a lot of stress on me. But it was kind of tough to pull myself out of that, and I think I've pulled myself out of that pretty well.
Well, that's good. I know a lot of people get down and depressed, and it's a lot of people don't understand it. It's not just a military thing where people get down and depressed. Everybody does it, but
Right.
when you're institutionalized, kind of like the Army does and prison does, to always kind of, all right, bury those feelings, leave them be, they'll go away. No, they never go
Yeah.
away.
No.
I know for me, I got off the plane on my last tour, and a day later, my oldest daughter was born, and I was there in the delivery room. I did everything, but I kind of had the,
Yeah. Yep.
what's going on? Why won't they listen to me? Why won't this 3-day-old toddler or infant eat her food? There's nothing you can do about that. I mean, they're just going to sit there and cry. And, it did bring up a lot of kind of like, all right, I'm used to dealing with privates that don't want to listen. I'm used to dealing with the people who are just so goddamn stubborn, but an infant is infinitely harder to take care of, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I had a second one. I mean, by
Yep.
that time, the oldest one is 8, and the youngest one is 2 as well. After the first one, we had a very better understanding of what it takes to do that. And when it comes down to the depression for me, my avenue of kind of getting out of that slump was to know that it was my kids that helped me bring out or get out of the slump that I was in.
That's awesome, man.
I know the older one, she would always come up and say the silliest things. And it's like, how can I be sad when something this silly, this insane is walking around with half my face and half my height? So the doctors say she's going to be over 6 feet, which
Good Lord.
Yeah, the other one's going to be too. They're going to be bruisers.
Damn.
Yeah. And I make fun of short people all the time, so they are going to as well, especially their uncle. I told him the other day while playing Destiny, it's like, I can't wait for the day that my daughter has to look down to talk to you. It's like, fuck you, man.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So as far as my coping and getting out of slumps, it's really the kids help me out. My kind of battle buddy system that I have between you and a friend Jesse and a couple others, I kind of work through what I go with them or you. And I did go through some slumps during the associate's degree for the going through, oh my God, computer aided drafting and design. I'm not in it this semester. I'm not in it this semester. I was a little late to sign up. I've got to sign up tomorrow for classes for next semester. I'm almost done. But when you're dealing
Nice.
when you're dealing with students almost half our age going through school, I don't know how to explain it. These self-entitled people who think that good grades should be given to them because why? I couldn't tell you. Do you have anybody in your class that does that?
Oh yeah. So I've been going to school pretty much full time now since 2015. The beginning is 2015.
Okay. That's when
and
I got out of the
I
Army.
will be done with my. Yeah, right. I will be completely done with my degree in December, a bachelor's degree, and the whole 5.5 years that I've been going, I've been dealing with a lot of I'm the old guy on campus. And, I'm only 35. That's not old.
I know.
But to put it into perspective, I had to teach one of my good friends now, way, way early in our studies, how to use a hand drill, a cordless drill. What? He did not know how to operate a cordless drill. Yeah. God bless him, man. He's a great person, and he's a wonderful friend, but really, you pick it up and it's not just naturally intuitive to where your hand and your finger fall and you press the trigger and it goes. How did you not understand how to do that? And I had to physically pick it up and teach him how to use a hand drill like that. Those are the people that we're going to school with.
Yeah.
So it's immensely frustrating when you run into that type of thing, but everybody has their learning curves. Everybody has their starting points. So it's not that big of a deal, but I have had very positive and very negative experiences in school because of the situations that we've been in. It's crazy.
Yeah, dealing with the younger generation of people. And they're, I get the old guy at campus. There's not very many classes I'm in that I'm not the oldest one in there. And once I tell, they're like, why are you in college now? It's like, Army. Oh, yeah, we get it.
Yep.
Fuck you guys. You guys suck shit.
And it's never too late to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never too late to start at all.
Yeah. We had I met a Marine Corps veteran the other day. He got out during Desert Storm. He's 50, 60 years old now, and he's doing metallurgy, something like that.
Nice.
So yeah, it's never too late. I think they just made the GI benefits until you die. I don't think there's a time limit anymore to use them.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
I know if the GI Bill benefits run out, you can always do vocational rehab. Have you looked into that at all?
So I'm in a STEM career, science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM career field. So I was using the Chapter 33 or the post 9/11 GI Bill for most of my college education.
Okay.
However, that benefit only lasts for 36 months.
Yeah.
Which, if you do the math, that's only 3 years. However, if you're going to school for a regular 2-semester school year, then that does cover an entire 4-year degree.
Yeah.
The problem with that, though, is that a lot of veterans were finding if they were in the STEM career field, going for a STEM degree, it's a lot harder than, say, an accounting or finance or liberal arts degree or something like that. So veterans were finding that it would take them a lot longer than 4 years. The average length to complete my degree is about 5 to 6 years, which I'm right in there.
Makes sense.
So last year, the VA and the government enacted a STEM extension. I believe it's called Edith Newerson Rogers STEM extension or something like that.
Okay.
And it essentially extends your benefits from the Chapter 33 GI Bill for an additional 9 months. So if you're entitled to 100% of the GI Bill benefit, you get 100% of the GI Bill benefits extended for 9 months, which is great. That's another 3 semesters that the government will give you. And it's allowed me to complete my entire degree without owing a single dime to anybody. Also, the Chapter 33 GI Bill benefit pays for books per semester, and it gives you a living expense, which is a BAH, basic housing allowance, for an E5 position in your current zip code. So for me, that was roughly $1,600 a month, plus the books, plus paying 100% tuition. So
Now, is
I
it
actually
your
got
zip
paid to
code
go.
or the zip code that the school is located?
Oh, sorry, it is, yeah, the zip code that the school is located in. But it's a wonderful benefit. Anybody that has access to it, they need to use it.
And I will double check, but I'm pretty sure they made it so you are not given a time limit when you can actually use this benefit.
I
I
really
know for
hope so.
right. I know for me, I have a full-time job, 8:30 to or 8 o'clock to 4:30 every day. So doing full-time college is not a thing that I can do. And I know to receive the 100% BAH, you need to have 12 credit hours or more. Because if you have
Yeah,
anything
that's
less than
fair.
that, you're going to get a prorated amount of BAH that you'll get.
That's correct. They will not prorate your tuition, however. So tuition will still be 100% covered if you are entitled to 100% coverage.
It just depends on how much you want to get for making your house payments, which it
Right.
definitely helps.
Yep,
I mean,
for sure.
for our area, it's not a very big area, but every little bit towards my mortgage is better than having to work overtime just to make up the difference that I would have to for going to class.
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, I did talk to the Voc Rehab. They essentially do the same thing. I believe it's 48 months of schooling. You give them a
Mm-hmm.
list of the books that you need and they buy them for you. Also,
Oh,
if
wow.
so, my degree or the class that I'm going for, the degree I'm going for is computer aided drafting and design. And there's a lot of computer
Mm,
work. Well, until recently,
sure.
I didn't have a computer. I had a phone. So there's no way
Oh,
I can
man.
put the SolidWorks 3D modeling or
No,
the
not at
CAD
all.
drawings or whatever. So they will actually provide you a computer for your
Mm-hmm.
schooling. And it's, from what I
That's
understand,
awesome.
I didn't get one, but from what I understand, it's a very decent laptop that has plenty of RAM, plenty of space for everything that you need, no slowing down.
Excellent.
So that is another, because I know a couple of people I went to work with that are veterans, they got out, they used all their GI Bill. They're finding that they still didn't have enough before the
Mm-hmm.
extension you were just talking about, and they go to Voc Rehab, get another 36 to 48 months of schooling.
That's
So
amazing.
that is another avenue that people can use.
Yep.
Um, Now, did you go and get a disability rating at all like I did?
No, I have not. Although a couple of friends are now convincing me to go do that. I've just been procrastinating, to be honest. But I have noticed that my right knee kind of gives me troubles now, walking up and down stairs and stuff like that. And that's the fun thing that comes with being an airborne ranger, you know.
Yeah, it's
But
not like we had 55 jumps, ruck 12 miles a week,
yeah, no, not at all.
constantly
That has
running.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah, not to mention the 45 pounds that are on your back.
Right, right. I also
Those
actually did have a
days.
friend that was in Afghanistan with me on one of my deployments, and he forwarded me a letter a number of years ago. It looked like in the form of a typical Army order, and it was basically a memorandum that said, if you were exposed to the giant shit pit in Afghanistan on a regular basis,
Yep,
this is why you might have lung troubles and shit. And so
yep.
my plan is to go to the VA here in Salt Lake and have them take a look at that letter as well as my knee and see what can be done about it. But I haven't had the opportunity to go yet.
See, when I went probably late 2015, early 2016. I had gotten a
Mm-hmm.
30% disabled rating for
Mm-hmm.
the constant ringing in the ears, tinnitus,
Yep.
the onset scoliosis that comes with jumping and rucking thousands of
Mm-hmm.
miles,
Yep.
and I want to say my knees.
Okay.
I went for PTSD, and they're like, "Well, you don't have it yet, so no." Like, what do you mean I don't have it yet? They're like, "Oh, no, you have one of those that it's going to show up later." Well, fuck you,
Oh,
fix it
lovely.
now.
Yeah.
The
Huh.
lady I talked to at the VA in Detroit, she was not very helpful. There was another lady
Interesting.
I talked to that said I shouldn't be driving a vehicle ever.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And then here's your 30%. That's $500 a month. Live off that for the rest of your life. Don't ever work because you can't drive. Like this place. So when it comes, I will tell you this, when it comes to getting help, as far as doctors or shrinks, they're there to give you what you need. As far as, because I have a psychotherapist, I have a psychologist, psychiatrist, I have a lot of people working with me for my brain. Now, when it
Mhm.
comes time to get a rating for disability for money, you remember how Army doctors used to work? Their job there was to find out how you're faking it. And that's what they
Yeah.
do there. They're like, all right, do we think you deserve money, or can we just fix this on our own? Because we don't want to give you any more money.
Yeah.
That's what I feel their process is like, all right, we got to find out he's faking it because he just probably just wants money from us like he has for years. And it's like, you know
Hmm.
what? I hate you, hate your face, and I got 30%. Hopefully after 5 years, I can go get reevaluated and hopefully get a higher rating. But for right now, I've got 30%. The Trent, who helped start the channel with, he actually got, I think, 90 to 100%. A
Oh,
couple other
wow.
friends I talked to got 100%. And that's roughly $3,600 a month tax free. So you should probably
Dang.
go.
Absolutely. Yeah. The more I talk to people, the more I'm convinced to go. And it's right next to my school, the University of Utah. So, I mean, I could literally just walk over there. But
I'm pretty sure you can borrow one of the Mormon bikes and just hitch a ride.
yeah, that's true too. Although I don't know if they'd take too kindly to me stealing their bike.
Oh,
I might have
just
to
say
convert
God
to
told you.
that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it was on one of your plates. They told me to take a
Right.
bike, so I took it. You guys can either deal with it or we can fight.
Oh God, fighting a good old little Mormon boy.
Kind of like
That
my
might end
area, we
poorly.
don't have Mormons, we have Amish.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you have Amish. They got horse and buggy. Now I wouldn't fight an Amish because
No,
they're
hell
all
no, they're
about
strong as
manual
shit.
labor. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're um, deceptively strong. Even
Yeah.
the youngins, they're like, well, we can take a bull down by the horns. What can you do? I'm like, oh, I play video games all day. So I'll get in my car and drive away. See if you can catch up. All right, so we'll get back on track here. So, if you had advice for dealing with the pressures versus kind of like what did you do? What are some people that you know? What have they done? And kind of what not to do. If you had any advice, what would you give?
Well, I would start off by saying the number one thing not to do is to self-isolate. Do not, for any reason, think that nobody will ever understand your pain or your suffering. It's very easy to become reclusive and to not go outside or talk to people or do anything, because humans really like to stay at rest if they're at rest. A body in rest will stay at rest, type of thing. I figured out that I had to literally force myself to do some of the things that I enjoyed. For instance, there was a brief moment where I didn't even want to play video games or go work on my car, which I'm very, very into cars. And so that's something that I really, really like to do.
I remember that.
But yeah, during that downtime, I did not want to do anything. I wanted to go to sleep and stay asleep. I wanted to isolate from everybody, including my family, and not talk to anybody. And that's extremely hard when you're in school full time and have responsibilities like a kid and a wife and all that. And you can't be alone, because then you're alone with your shitty feelings and shitty thoughts, and it's just going to drag you down deeper. Also, another thing not to do is not to resort to vices. Do not go into a bottle. Do not go into drugs or smoking or anything like that. Honestly, the way I feel that I've pulled myself out of it is to not only talk to people, because there is help in many, many different forms for many different types of people, but to actually force yourself to do some of those things. And at the time, it felt like labor. It felt like work. It felt like something I really didn't want to do, and I wasn't getting rewarded or paid for it or anything like that. So it was hard. It was really hard to start doing some of those things. But I figured out that once I did start a task that I normally would have enjoyed, after that brief period that it felt like work and that I wasn't getting compensated for it, I started to actually enjoy things again. And I started to play video games. I started to work on my cars. I started to play armor, like gunsmith and stuff like that. And that was really fun. And it got me out of my funk. And then I started talking to different people, and I did a couple of surveys with a couple of professional health workers and mental health workers. And the number one thing that they said, that they asked me was, how do you think you can do something to help somebody else when they're in a slump? And I said, talk to people, man. People, while they can be very, very stupid and very demoralizing, they can also be extremely helpful.
Yep.
And you can light up a room by just talking with somebody. It's fabulous. If it's the right person. If they're dumb people, then you might want to just joke about it.
Well, I find if you walk in a room and you get hooked up with somebody who's not that intelligent, you can still kind of pick yourself up. Now, it's mean for me, but I'll ask them something simple when they don't give me the right answer that I know is right. It's like, at least I'm not that guy.
Yep.
But unfortunately, in the current climate that we have, that's going outside when you have your government officials telling you to not leave your house, stay away from people. It is kind of counterintuitive and counterproductive to actually do that with some people. But I know for me, I mean, even with current technology, I'm on a Zoom call with you right now. I have a phone that can connect me to anybody on the planet with a face call. So there are ways to get around the restrictions of actually meeting up with people or talking to people.
Yep. I would agree.
And I I 100% agree with everything that you said with the don't fall into the vices. Don't, if you find yourself going down that path, you know, for me, I asked for help and it came. Some people you'll see are a little too proud to ask for help. It's
Oh yeah.
silly to say the least, to say that
Yep.
I'm too good. I don't need help. Like, we
Mhm.
think you do. Um, Now I don't know because so we had a mutual friend and he had taken his own life and I talked
Mhm.
to him regularly,
Yeah.
but there were no real signs that he had decided to do that.
No.
Besides, um, he kind of did the same thing. He secluded himself from everybody but one or two people and his wife and two kids. And I got the call one day that he had taken his own life. And, you know, I want to say that I dealt with it properly, but I probably didn't. And at the
Mhm.
same time, we as military people have dealt with so much loss throughout the time that we've been in that it almost, yeah, I mean, it didn't affect me. It was sad, but unfortunately it happened.
Yep.
And we kind of cut ourselves off from the feelings, try to be a little more apathetic to other people's conditions, because that's, you know, we lost people regularly. And after
Mhm.
dealing with like the death of family members, the death of all the other friends that died or were killed overseas, you come home and you find out one commits suicide, and it's like, what do you do now? I mean, all right, so I feel like I wish I could have helped them, but there's if you're set to it, there's really nothing you can really do.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate truth about suicide. Another unfortunate thing is I've had kind of a lot of experience with suicide. My mother struggled with acts. She's never actually committed suicide, thank God, but she's struggled with a lot of acts when I was younger, before I joined the military, and she had attempted a number of times, and a lot of it was for a cry for help and stuff like that. And fortunately, she's a lot better now. And in the recent years, she hasn't shown any other signs or asked for help or anything like that. But um, I've known a few people in the military to do that, and our friend, um, that was a very hard phone call to hear from you. Um, it made me very fondly remember the times that we had. And I think that day I was at school walking to a class when I got the phone call from you. And I just collapsed when I was on the phone in the middle of campus, in the middle of like class change. So everybody was out there. I'm sure some people were like, what the fuck's wrong with that guy? But I remember going to the Veterans Service Center at the University of Utah and just kind of hunkering down on one of their couches and just wanting to be alone for a minute. And then after that, I was relatively okay with it. I mean, we've been exposed to a lot of death and loss and unfortunate circumstances. And since then, I've kind of come to the understanding that death is the only certainty in life. There is literally nothing else that is for sure going to happen. Unless, of course, you are very religious, which then you might believe that there is another certainty, but that might not be the case for some people. So if death is certain, then why worry about it? Why be afraid of it? If you know for an absolute fact that every living thing in existence will one day cease to live, then there's nothing anybody or anything can be done about it at all. There's nothing you can do.
That's where
So
I keep my mentality at. That's why I
yeah,
don't tiptoe around people's feelings or try to edit or censor everything that I say, because yes, death is inevitable. Why waste time trying to make somebody else happy or appease their
Well, see,
feelings of delicacy?
I agree to a certain point on that, but with what you just said, why waste time on making people happy? Um, I think
I said that wrong. So I'll give you a scenario. I'm person A, I'm talking to person B. Person C, who's not part of the conversation, is upset because I used a few curse words.
gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
not trying to make person C happy. I'm talking to
Yeah.
person B.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah. I think that since death is inevitable, and you should probably not spend your time worrying about it or thinking about it that much. Instead, spend most of your time trying to make yourself happy and others happy, and maybe life will mean a little bit more to you than worrying about death. I don't know.
Indeed.
This is all
So,
just ramblings from an insane person.
oh, I concur. You are insane.
Thank you.
You talk to me. I don't know why anybody would do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to convey towards the listeners?
Just remember, do not ever think that you're alone, man. This day and age, there's probably not an original thought left or an original idea. So if you're struggling with something, or if you know somebody that's struggling with something, talk to people, man. I know it's really hard with this whole pandemic and the current situation that we're in, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, but that's why stocks in Zoom have just skyrocketed.
A lot of people said that we know the real reason behind this virus, and it was Zoom, so we can use their
Yeah,
software a lot more.
clearly. But
All right,
yeah,
so,
just know that you're not alone, man. We're always listening.
and I've been saying that since I started the podcast and the channel, that just know that you're not alone. There's always somebody out there, and if you think you know a warning sign of somebody that needs help, try to get them help. There's multiple VA-run programs that you can get in contact with, get a hold of. There's a crisis hotline. You just put in crisis hotline in Google, and the first thing will pop up will be the number that you can call or reach for anybody that you see might be having a problem, or if you're having a problem yourself. Just knowing that you're not alone is a lot better than trying to go through this yourself. Like, nobody knows what I'm feeling. Everybody knows what you're feeling.
Absolutely.
So,
Or at least the right people know what you're feeling.
exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the channel off here. I will say that my next episode, if I can't have another guest on, our future rant will be about celebrities. So, as I always say to our listeners, remember, move out, draw fire. Thank you.